In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a proper soil test. I'm also going to show you why it's so crucial for your garden success. Lastly, we're going to look at how to use those results and get professional advice on what we need to put into our soil to get the most out of it. Hi, I'm Luke Sheldrick from Terramore Farm, where we grow organically with no-till practices for 3 farmers markets, 80 CSAs, over 20 restaurants and retail locations, and we do cut flowers and organic vegetables. While no-till practices are amazing for maintaining soil structure and organic matter, they're not some magic fix for your garden. The essential nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, and all of these things feed soil microbes, which then make plant available nutrients. When there's key ingredients missing, this slows down that action in the soil food web and makes plants not have access to the nutrients they need, or can really just slow down the overall function. Before we head out to the garden, there's a few essentials that we have to go over. Number 1, a soil probe. Now, if you don't have a soil probe, a shovel works just as well, and what you want to do with that I will show you out in the field, but we can use either or. Secondly, you want to identify your zones. This year I'm doing soil samples for 9 different zones, but they do vary from year to year. For example, if we're opening up a new area or if a special crop is going into a certain area. Examples would include zones where we're putting flowers, so we always test our flower plots every single year, and those are individual plots. So that's this one here, and our pond garden. Aside from that, we actually do zones. Like all 8 of these plots is one zone. This one is getting perennial beds next year, so we want to ensure that it's really nutrient rich, so it's getting its own soil test. Greenhouses always get their own soil test. Then this is a zone. And this is a zone. So like I say, we're splitting it into zones for the majority of the garden space, but then high priority locations get their own for individual plots. So I've gone ahead and pre-labeled all of my bags to match those zones, all 9 of them. I'm gonna have 1 bucket for the bags to carry them after they have the soil in them, and I'm going to have 1 bucket to mix soil with the probe to get my tests. We're looking for 1 cup of soil for each bag. I also bring a rag along to clean out the bucket in between each zone, sure that there's no trace nutrients that are getting confused from one to the other. So when we're taking a soil sample, no matter what the size is of the zone, I use the same principle to take a good example and sample of that area. So whether we're in a greenhouse like this or a big rectangle plot out in the field, or a zone of several plots, the same principle applies. I take about 6 to 8, depending on the size, samples of the soil. So we're getting a good sample, mixing all of that together in the bucket, and then we'll get our 1 cup, put it in the appropriate bag, and go from there. So let's do it. As I've mentioned, you can get the same results without a probe, but you do need to get that 6 inches of depth. So what I do with a shovel is essentially put it down one side, little loosened, and then we're going to go the opposite. Pick that out. And that's easily a nice 6 inches of depth. It is a lot of soil, but you do 6 of those or 8 of them, mix it in the bucket, take your cup out, and then throw that away. My honest opinion is that the probe is very worth the investment, but I just want everyone to feel included. So you can do it with a shovel. If you don't feel like dishing out the cash for the probe, or it's not worth it for just 1 year of samples, go for it. But if you're gonna be doing this a lot, get the probe. All right, so here's how we do it with the probe. I've cleaned both the implement and the bucket, and we will do that in between each sample. There's one. I'm gonna walk it down here. And sometimes I might even do a little zigzag pattern because we wanna get a little bit into the middle. And that's totally cool too. Just get a good representation of your area with, like I say, 6 to 8 samples. So after we've got a good selection, we're going to just mix this up and then put it, 1 cup of it, into its associated bag. So as I mentioned, we have all of our bags pre-labeled for all of the zones. So I'm looking for greenhouse 2. Imagine that, right on top. So we're taking greenhouse 2 and putting 1 cup into there after we mix the soil. So mix it with the probe or the shovel. There we go. Greenhouse 2 is ready. So I'm gonna rip around the rest of the farm, get all the samples, and then we're gonna get ready to ship them to our lab. So after I've gathered all of our samples, we've got them bagged up, I'm gonna go to the post office, I'm gonna ship this off to A&L Laboratories. That's our preferred lab. They can offer us a nice recommendation. It's pretty basic. We tell them on the form what we're gonna be growing there, and they'll give us a basic recommendation. We don't personally do that. We take the results back and we send them to a professional, an agronomist, who gives us our recommendation for each zone. And then we create a soil amendment plan for each zone so that in the spring, when we're amending our beds, prepping them, we follow that plan and apply the applicable nutrients at the applicable levels and create custom mixes to go in with each bed. And then that is how we ensure that every year we're improving our soil, but also in greenhouses like this for high productivity, we're not just improving it, but we're making sure it has exactly what it needs for the crops that we're growing. Just highly suggesting that even if you use no-till, you do need a soil sample because you can't just assume that not touching the soil is gonna give it what it needs. We all live in different areas, there's different soil structures, different soil types, and you are all doing different things in your garden. You need to soil test to make sure you're getting what you need to activate the soil so that it can create the nutrients and the soil food web that it needs to get going, growing healthy, happy plants. So now that you know how to take a proper soil test, I hope you won't shy away from the opportunity to do it in your garden, send the results off, and get a recommendation so that you can improve all your growing. I'm Luke Sheldrick from Terramore Farm, and if you like this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below how your soil testing is going, or also if you have any other questions about farming at this scale, how to improve your home garden, etc. So thank you so much.